Episode 3 of Wandavision is here, so of course we got to talk about it. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Klepcx FM, brought to you by WeAreCritics.com, where we talk about all things pop culture, movies, and television. And if you're into that kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be up to date about everything that I talk about here. Now, today, we are in episode 3 of Wandavision. And of course, we have to talk and break down about this thing because it is so jam-packed. There's so many Easter eggs. There's so much craziness that we have to take the time weekly to have these sessions and break things down so everybody can hopefully be on the same page. I gotta tell you, this was probably the first 2 episodes were great introductions to me as far as what to expect and the kind of the tone and just to see how different the approach was that Marvel was going to take. But this one here, the third one, I think this is the one that fans were really waiting for because they wanted to know what was going on. Answers are still not, questions are still unanswered. But I think that if you see this one, you'll get a better gist of what's to come or what's kind of happening. So let's talk about some of the things that go on in this one. They're still in sitcom mode. They're still flashbacking to, yesteryear television. It's still coming on as though it is a television series, just right off the gate. There's no setup, no introductions, just straight intro like a TV series from back in the day. This one, unlike the first 2, takes place in like the 60s, 70s era. Intro is very Partridge Family, like legit. Like if you play both songs back to back, they literally sound very, very similar in music, in lyrics, in the singing style. Even the intro is very, very reminiscent of that era. And it's in color. So if you didn't see the last episode, it ended on a note where Wanda changed things. Beekeeper comes out of the manhole, and he has the sword logo on his back, and we're gonna get more into that because there's a lot more sword to come. And she says no, things rewind. She goes back to her happy moment, and then all of a sudden things around them start changing, and it's now in color. And they very much reference the era in the time period in like the whole like now in color type deal. I think the episode is actually called Now in Color. If you go back and look at the episode list, they have a name for it. It says Now in Color. There's even a nod in the episode with Phil where and I didn't know Phil was married to Dottie. Shout out to Phil. Phil is married to Dottie. They're home. There's like a blackout that happens with Wanda's powers and stuff. We'll get into that too, but on the newspaper, there's like an ad for televisions, color TVs. So they're like nodding to the time, the era on the nose. Like they're doing that very well. So yeah, it takes place in color. It's about 60s, 70s, about that time. It has the Brady Bunch vibe. The house looks very reminiscent to the Brady Bunch era. The clothes, the style, everything. It's just very bright, very colorful. Even the color is kind of like off, like it looks like it's brand new color. Like there was always like a thing with like when they would change things into color for the first time back in the day, that the color, the saturation was a little high. And if you look at Vision, like he's like very, very pink, very, very, like all the colors are just very bright and very, very vibrant in this episode. So to represent the time of things now being in color. But other than that, they pulled it off very nicely. They're still keeping the tone. The sitcom vibe is there. The jokes are still cheesy, but still on time. Their acting is shining. I think that Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are really flexing that acting muscle in this series, and they look like they're having a damn good time doing it. Everyone looks like they're having a good time doing it. And about that, we're talking about the actors in this. One thing I noticed that in the intro, when it comes on like the old time shows where they show each character as the stars are kind of going through the motions and doing their thing, but no one's introduced. They don't say their names. No one, it doesn't say, it says Wanda Maximoff, it says Vision, but it doesn't Dottie. It doesn't say Agnes. It doesn't say Hobbs. It doesn't say Geraldine. Like no other names. Like they show the characters, but they never say the names, which is kind of interesting to me. I wonder why it's like that. It's kind of like it's their world. It's their world only. No one else is getting any shine, and I found that kind of interesting. Characters in this one, the moment that everyone was kind of waiting for, they kind of lose consciousness during everything. Like, so the episode follows Vision and Wanda. Wanda's pregnant. We saw that in the last episode. She's pregnant now. She's having weird complications in a funny way. Now that she's pregnant, her powers are out of whack. So every time she has like a contraction or something, or has an emotional feeling, the powers kind of have a mind of their own and do their own thing. I thought that was kind of funny. So during this episode, you see people are making nods out of character, out of consciousness. Like they're in this world, but a lot of people are becoming more conscious of being in this world. For one, Wanda's pregnant in a matter of 12 hours overnight. So this takes place like right after the second episode. It's not like it's like a switch of scene and takes place somewhere else or a different time. It happens immediately. So they're trying to hide it. The doctor, he makes a reference when Wanda's after she has the children. I'm jumping all over the place here because I don't want to kind of tell you in sequence because I don't want to ruin the experience for you. But there's a moment where the doctor makes a comment where he says small towns are hard to escape, but he looks at Vision in a way where he's like, you know, get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So he's out of consciousness. Geraldine, who we know as Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel, she has a moment with Wanda where she jumps out of consciousness where, you know, she mentions something. Wanda is talking about her children who shot out. We finally got Wiccan and Speed. Their names were dropped. Not their superhero names, but their real names. We'll get into that in a second. But Geraldine mentions to her, you know, Wanda says, I was a twin. She mentions her brother, and then Geraldine kind of stares at her, Monica, stares at her and says, he was killed by Ultron, which was like, whoa, okay, now we're finally getting somewhere. And Wanda didn't like that. And we'll get into what happens after that. But let's talk about the babies, Wiccan and Speed. That is Billy Altman and Tommy Shepard. During the series, Vision and Wanda are going back and forth on what names to pick, and they picked Tommy and Billy, going back and forth. You know, one wanted Tommy, one wanted Billy, but they didn't realize they were going to have twins. They end up having twins, and for those comic book fans who know, Billy Altman, Tommy Shepard are Wiccan and Speed, the children of Wanda and Vision, both mutants, both with abilities. Billy has the abilities of Billy has the abilities of Scarlet Witch, and Tommy has the abilities of his uncle Petro, which is why his name is Speed, and Billy is Wiccan because of Scarlet Witch. Billy is also gay. He is like one of, I think, probably the first or one of the first Marvel gay characters, who is dating Hulkling, who's like a younger version of the Hulk. In the Young Avengers. These are two Young Avengers. This is why I think the Young Avengers is coming, because look at this. Wiccan and Speed are coming. We got Kate Bishop. We got Ms. Marvel. We got a younger Spider-Man. I feel like the Young Avengers are definitely going to be coming into play in some iteration. But it was great to see that nod from the comic books, them bringing in the children of Wanda and Vision, Wiccan and Speed. I thought that was brilliant. So with that, I mentioned Sword, and we'll talk about Monica Rambeau. Before, when she broke down that Wanda's brother had been killed, Wanda had noticed a necklace around her. She had a sword necklace, like very old style from the 70s, kind of costume jewelry-ish. And Wanda says, what is that logo? And immediately we cut to Vision talking to Agnes and Hubs outside, and they're kind of breaking consciousness as well, and telling him about Monica Geraldine. It's very confusing, all these names, and that she's not supposed to be there, and that she's there for, but they never allude to why. And Vision's waiting for the answer, but they can't get it out. They can't spit it out. But they mention that she's not from around there. She's new to town. She doesn't have family. She doesn't even have a home. So she's not supposed to be there, which I found very interesting, because if you look at what Geraldine Monica is wearing, there's a funny scene where Wanda accidentally brings a stork to life. And the stork is kind of walking around the living room, and Wanda is trying to not be noticeable about it being in the living room while Monica is talking to her. And the stork comes around the couch and starts nibbling at Monica's pants. And based on all the things that Agnes and Hobbs were saying about her, about how she's not from around there, she doesn't have a family and doesn't have a home, I noticed that Monica was wearing fish on her pants, which kind of to me was like a fish out of water. I thought just the way that, I don't know, I think that that's what they were trying to allude to. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, oh, she has like a fish pattern on her pants, and she's not supposed to be. She's like a fish out of water. So these are the kind of things you have to look for when you watch this thing, because there are just so many references, Easter eggs, and nods that kind of allow you to get lost into this thing and kind of pick up and understand what exactly is going on. So after she has her little moment with Wanda going back and forth about who she is, why does she know about her brother, they cut the Vision. He's talking to Agnes, he's talking to Hobbs, and then after he gets what he gets from Hobbs and Agnes, he goes back into the house, and she's no longer there. Geraldine Monica, she's no longer there. And Vision goes, well, where is she? And then, they have their moment, and then they cut to present time. It looks real time, I should say. It looks like real time. The screen gets wide. It goes from the old school television aspect ratio, and then kind of goes widescreen. And then you see this force field kind of blurry, and Monica comes flying out of it. So, assuming that Wanda didn't like what she heard, knew that she didn't belong there, and just ejected her out of her universe or wherever they are. This episode is jam-packed with a lot of stuff. I actually had to watch it twice. I watched it the first time just for pure entertainment, and then I went back to do a little deep diving. And that's when I picked up on things like what Dr. Nelson said about being trapped in small towns. It's hard to escape. And then I picked up on the newspaper with Phil. It's like a deep dive that you really have to take when you watch these things. You can watch it for pure entertainment if you're not into that kind of thing, but for the real comic book fans, it's worth it. I mean, there's so many nods, so many Easter eggs just in this one episode alone. I can't imagine what the rest of the series is going to be about. We're 3 episodes in. We have 5 more left. I would really love to know what you all thought. If you picked up on anything that I did not, if you have any questions about anything, trust me, I like I said, I deep dove into this thing, and I picked up on a lot of things, and I'm excited. I cannot wait to see what is going on as far as Sword and what's really going on. Like, what is this place? Because it seems like Agnes and Hobbs are all like involved. Even Agnes, she makes another joke about her husband, who no one has seen, Ralph. It was like, he looks better in the dark because of the outage. And like, what does that mean? Is this the devil? Is this Mephisto? Like, so many questions, and I'm excited and I can't wait. Like I said, you guys let me know what you thought. Like, comment, share. Please subscribe. And for more news, television, pop culture, and our podcast, Critics Talk, make sure you guys check out wearecritics.com, and I will talk to you all later. Peace.